What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into On Air with David Dwayne, My Fair Springs Radio. Yes, we've got our boy, recording artist, songwriter, August Rigo with us. Now, you guys don't know who he is. Man, he is written for, well, lately, he's got the hot single with Chris Brown, Back to Sleep, which everybody loves. I mean, he's worked with countless people, Mindless Behavior. I mean, I can go on and on. Definitely wrote one of my favorite songs for Mindless Behavior. Didn't know that, but now I do. And he's with us. What's going on, August?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We definitely appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Like I was saying, you were one of my favorite Mindless Behavior records, Future. Like,
I got a Future?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so funny. I originally wrote that song with Justin Bieber in mind. It was a whole bunch of stuff I was doing at the time, and it ended up just being a better fit for Mindless Behavior. I think they did an awesome job with it, too.
Right. They definitely did, and I feel like it was something that their core audience needed to hear, especially, since they were going from being, teeny boppers to now grown men.
Yeah, right.
That definitely
exactly.
works.
So, yeah.
So
really
how did you get started with music? For those who aren't familiar with you, tell them how you got started.
Well, I've always been kind of a kid that wanted to sing. Growing up, so I always did, the singing at little parties and stuff. And then, but really kind of got serious going into high school because I went to a performing arts high school.
Mm-hmm.
So over there, I actually studied sacred chorale, like choir music and opera. Believe it or not.
Wow.
And then, yeah, but also a lot of my classmates in choir, we all loved, R&B, pop music, so I ended up forming a singing group, with two of my other choir mates, and that's when it really started to get serious, and we started to do recordings and stuff. And then after high school, that kind of disbanded. I went to school for jazz, actually, because I figured, I'm in the school system, I might as well just learn as much as I can. I went to school for jazz, and then I went to school for sound engineering, so that's kind of how I got my background kind of in check. And then I just started hustling. I started running around, driving back and forth to New York, and my break was kind of just by sitting. I used to stand outside of the record labels with a stack of CDs and just harass A&Rs and marketing people and executives when they walked into the building. Just be like, yo, listen to my CD, listen to my songs. And, that was 4 or 5 years prior to anything ever happening. But during that time, one of the guys that I met outside that I was harassing with a CD was actually a VP at Motown. And then subsequently, 4 or 5 years later, he became my manager, and he was the guy that kind of knew everybody, that kind of hooked me up into the system. So it was a long kind of run, but that's how I got started in a nutshell anyways. There's a lot of little anecdotes and stories in between, but that's kind of the short of it.
Exactly. So now, what broke first for you? You being an artist or you writing songs? Because I see that you have your own music out as well.
Yeah. So when I was living I'm living in Toronto again, but back then when I was living in Toronto, I had a couple of decent singles playing out here on local radio, and then across Canada eventually, and then I started doing shows and stuff. That was Canada was okay, but really the songwriting was the first thing to kind of bust on like a grand scale. With the first two artists that I got to work with off the bat were Ayaz, which I did a single called Solo.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I remember that one.
And then
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the real the real one that kind of changed my life was Justin Bieber. When I did 3 songs on My World 2.0. You Smile, Stuck in Moment, and Kiss and Tell. And then that one kind of really catapulted everything on the songwriting thing, and that led to a lot of, that led to the One Direction, and I executive produced Music Soul Child's album. I was doing Sean Kingston stuff. I did Sean Kingston Sleep All Day, and yeah, so that's kind of, the songwriting definitely is the thing that came first, though.
And I did notice that you work with Music Soul Child. I mean, he's definitely great, and he's about to release a new project. What was it like, working with somebody as musically like in touch with it? Because I mean, he's on a whole nother level when it comes to the artistry. Like he really is about it.
Yeah, the first time I met him, I was like, just really, actually a little bit intimidated because I grew up on his music. I kind of idolized a lot of, what he did stylistically, and I just really appreciated, the type of music he was doing. He came out at a time of like when neo soul was really cracking. So, yeah, but, after working with him a couple of sessions, and then, doing a few songs, I started to just be confident about my abilities as well. And it was, it was a great experience for me just to be able to write for somebody that I looked up to. Very kind of satisfying. Kind of came around full circle for me for that one.
And being that you've written for different artists in different genres, you did R&B, you've done pop, you mentioned Justin Bieber, you mentioned One Direction, to, write for pop artists and have those placements, because it's a whole other thing and a whole other excitement, versus R&B. How would you say, like, that made you feel, and to know that after the records came out, they were, like, so huge, beyond huge, it was crazy?
Yeah, when I was doing them, I never really thought about it. I never really thought about, the repercussion sounds negative, but the effect
right,
that it would have on my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just, I was brand new. I was right out the box, and I was just excited to be writing songs. At the time, I wasn't even familiar with who a Justin Bieber was. I knew he had one, big song at the time. That it was called One Time, actually, I think. And then he had One Less Lonely Girl, and I was, I knew about those, but I just didn't think that he was going to be that big. So when it hit, it was, it was actually hard to absorb it at that time because I was just so busy. I was running all over the world. I was back and forth from, London, Toronto, then in LA, then I was living in New York. So it was a little bit of a crazy time, so I didn't really get to just sit and think about it until way after, even the One Direction that I did a song called Gotta Be You. When I did the song One Direction, I just won X Factor, and they were just a kind of a footnote in the industry at the time, like, oh yeah, this group, they just won, a talent competition. So it wasn't anything, and then all of a sudden it was something huge, and that was actually pretty cool too.
And I like the fact that even while you're writing for different artists, you're still keeping it, the relevancy with your social media, like putting out covers and stuff like that. The latest one you did was Sorry Justin Bieber, and you got a great response to it. You did Abdel Hello. I mean, how does it feel to know that people are not only excited about the songs that you write, but for, your actual talent of, singing as well? Yeah,
that's, I mean, I look at the songwriting as kind of like my day job, and I'm just to be I'm really lucky to have a day job where I can wake up in the morning and, sit in the studio and write songs. So, the songwriting is amazing, and I'm super grateful for it. But the artist career and actually singing the songs that I write is really my love. So actually getting a great response from that, and getting the support from fans and just people in general, that's really the dream. So along with living day to day and writing these songs as my job, which is also a dream, I get to focus on fulfilling my real dream, which is pretty cool. So now I get to do two things at once.
Now let's talk about the latest placement that you have. Chris Brown, Back to Sleep, because that record, let me tell you something, that record is crazy.
Thank you.
It's just like there's no words for that. It's just you wrote so perfectly with it, and I write songs, so for me, it's just like
nice.
I felt the lyric. Hearing Chris sing it is like I felt like that was written with passion, and it came from somewhere. Like, what was the inspiration behind that record?
It's a funny thing, but I just kind of sometimes I create these situations in my head, and like I just kind of thought about a story, like about it, when you're traveling, when you get off a plane and you just wanna see that special somebody that you normally go see, and they're tired. Not everybody lives the life that we live. Like as a musician and as a songwriter, somebody in the music industry, like we don't have schedules. 3:00 in the morning, you could be having dinner. You could be having lunch at 3:00 in the morning. Or you could be flying into town at 3:00 in the morning, and you want to. Some people aren't on that same schedule, so you're like, yo, don't worry about it. Let me take care of business, and we can get back. You can get back to your regular, and I can get back to mine. But sometimes a guy needs what a guy needs, and I was just trying to explain to the girl, like, take care of me, and I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. So that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah, definitely deep message with that. That I could tell.
Yeah.
And how's it, making you feel? Because like this record, I feel like this record for Chris is responding well versus Liquor. I mean, it's doing. I feel like this is getting a better response than what's the other one? Zero. Like this. Yep. Yeah. I feel like this is really kicking it in to see like fans tweet and see different things. Just in general, like how does it make you feel like that? First of all, that Chris Brown is singing one of your records.
Well,
and that it's doing so great.
That's the biggest one, right? Like, I mean, I think, and I've said it before, I think Chris Brown is one of, there's a lot of amazing artists out there, right? But he is one of our very few, like, true, he's been around from time already, and he's one of our true artists. He sings amazing, he dances, he, aside from the controversy or anything, like, he's a super talent. He is of the line of a Michael Jackson. Somebody that can kind of cross boundaries with the music, cross genres. Transcend age. So that's really exciting for me. I've always wanted to write a song for Chris Brown since I started. So to actually be able to do it now is amazing. I took a little bit of a hiatus from the songwriting for the last maybe 6 months because I was working on my album and just focusing on developing a couple of artists and talents. So to come back out of out of that grind and jump right back into the songwriting thing and nail a Chris Brown song off the rip, is pretty exciting. It makes me pretty happy, to be honest.
Nice. That's what's up. So now, are you do you have any other song placements that we should look forward to?
Well, just recently, I've been working on, pitching a couple of songs. I have a couple of songs that I've written that I love for, Nick Jonas, and there's this new kid, Shawn Mendes. So I'm working on pushing on some of those songs. Last year, sometime late last year, Kehlani actually came over to the house here and worked with me. I got to work with her and Jahan, and me and my guitarist, who's like my kind of musical partner in crime. His name is Ricky Tilo. We got to work with her, so we did an amazing song with her. So hopefully that one comes out on this new album that she's been working on. That'd be really exciting.
Nice.
She's amazing. And then also I'm working with an artist who I've been helping develop over the last couple of years named Jeanette Claudette, who's, starting to really, kind of emerge in the industry and get a lot of attention on the blogs and, on her SoundCloud and her YouTube. She's an exceptional talent. She writes, sings, plays as well. So she's really amazing. So those are the things that I've been focusing on right now, along with my artist career as well.
Right, of course. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, it really is like that you're, not only limiting yourself with music, but you're working with other collaborators, helping develop other people, because, I mean, that's rewarding.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to kind of balance that side of things because, being an artist yourself already takes up 23 hours of your mind a day.
Right.
Right. So the most difficult thing is trying to split up that time and that attention, because you're putting, you want every piece of music that you do to have 100% of, your ability and your time and your effort. So it's hard to split and take the different hat off, like take the producer hat off and then put the artist hat on. There's other things aside from what people see on on the blogs and on the internet and on the Instagram. Like nobody sees the amount of practice. Like I sit and practice for a couple of hours a day, just practice playing piano, practice singing, practice songwriting, and then after I do that, I jump in and, try to write a song for artist A, and then sometimes I'll have, Jeanette here, and we'll be collaborating, doing stuff together. So there's a lot of work involved in it, but what else is there to do in life, man? I get to do music for a living, so that's the best thing.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. And can we also talk about the single versions that you have out as well, too? Because I definitely love that record.
Course. Thank you. Yeah, versions is, I felt like of all the songs I had, like I wanted that one to be the first one to come out because, first off, sonically, I think it just had some reach. It's a little different than anything that's out there right now. It's a little more classic in the songwriting style and even the production. Right. And I just wanted to be honest, I wanted a different message to come from the music that I was creating. Like this one is kind of I don't know if you want to call it the antithesis of what's happening in the industry now, but my thing about it is, there's a lot of things about, the Instagram, the internet that kind of pose women in a different way. It's like, oh, you have to look like this, you should dress like this, you should plump your lips, you should get your boobs done, or all that stuff. And that stuff is fine with me. I mean, like, hey, however you want to do it. Me personally, I think that the message that we should be creating for the women in the world is like, yo, you could do whatever you want, but on the whole, you are going to be beautiful no matter what. So that's kind of the angle of that song. Like, you don't have to lose weight for me to love you, and you don't have to get enhancements or wear extensions and do all that. You can if you want, but I love you just the way you are.
Right. And you know what? That's an important message that women have to understand too. Like, all that stuff is cool, that's great. Like, you don't have to have it. All that does is embraces you. It don't make you.
Yeah, right. I get it. People want to look good. That's great, but sometimes it's just nice to be natural. It's nice to be, just that version of yourself.
Indeed. So now, will this single be a part of a new project that you're working on, or is it just a single that you have out right now?
No, so this single is a part of an album that I have created called The Fallout. The Fallout kind of is a representation. The reason why the album is called The Fallout, it's kind of a representation of how I had a falling out with my artist career, and not that I ever stopped doing my own music, but because I started writing so much with other artists, it became the issue I was having was identifying back with myself and trying to figure out, what music is really me and what music is for the other side of you, like the songwriting. Because when you're songwriting for other people, you're wearing different hats and you're putting on different personas. Right? When you write for Chris Brown or Justin Bieber, as much as we're all kind of doing slightly similar music, there is an identity that's definitive between all the other artists. So coming back home and realizing, I want to do my own album was like, wow, I don't really know where I'm sitting right now musically.
Right.
So now, I put together this. I was living in LA for the last 3 years, so I moved back to Toronto. I just put this album together, and I just really love it. It's a collection of it's 10 songs. I think it's the best representation of me and where I'm at musically right now. And so yeah, I'm coming out with the next single. It's called Just Drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain the album, but I hopefully you get a chance to hear it when it comes out. Maybe we can send you a copy of it advanced. It's kind of like it's a pop album with a very R&B overtone to it. So.
Ooh. Well,
yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, it's very cool, man. It's like a singer-songwriter driven album, so there's a lot of storytelling. I feel like it's a piece that's missing in the industry right now. And being an indie artist and being more known for my songwriting, the challenge is to give it enough exposure so that it gets a chance to be heard by the masses.
That's incredible. But, so when is it coming out?
The album is probably slated to come out sometime in March, April.
Okay.
I'm just working on the dates right now, and I'm trying to make sure that I have enough visuals in the pocket so that when it comes out, there's enough to kind of support that. But around March, April, it's actually out in Canada right now on iTunes. And very shortly, you'll be able to you'll be able to go to my site like in the next week and actually order a physical CD. But on iTunes, it actually officially released in the States and worldwide. It'll come probably March, April.
How's the response been overseas to the project since it's already out over there? Would you say?
In Japan, it's been amazing. MTV has been really supportive out there. I did a couple of collaborations with some Japanese artists as well. So I did some duets and did some songwriting out there. So that's been amazing. I did a little bit of a promo tour late last year with some press and a couple of performances, and it's been really good. Japan's been an awesome kind of market for me to get into. And they really like my backstory a lot out there. They like that I am the songwriter behind this and that, and that makes them curious, as opposed to, oh, he's just a songwriter, whatever. Out there, it was kind of, the response was slightly different, like, oh, wow, he wrote these songs. I would love to hear what he did for himself. So that's been really cool. So hopefully that transcends and it gets the same response out here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it will, because you're putting in the grind. A lot of blogs have showed you a lot of love, pure, for just the work that you've done in general. So, hey, yeah, you can only go up from here.
Right, exactly.
Go up from here. Now, last question for you: are you going to be doing any shows with this music that you're going to put out?
Yes. So. Last year, just closing out the year, we did actually a few. We were over in New York a couple of times, so I did 2 shows in New York. I did SOBs, which went amazing, and I did the Drome, or is it Drome? I don't know what it's called. I think it's the College Music Journal. So show for that, and then I did like a small little showcase in LA for Next to Shine in My Divio, which is another blog site. So, and those shows went extremely well. I did them kind of, I also like to showcase that, I'm not only a studio guy, that I actually can get on stage and sing. So a lot of the shows are really broken down into very, acoustic, unplugged things. And I always kind of alter it depending on what the crowd looks like and what they're feeling. So a lot of the times it ends up being, me and my guitarist, and I might be playing a little bit of piano, And it's just straight, it's just some straight music stuff. And I sit there and I sing my butt off. And just to let people know that, there's a real talent and ability behind what's happening. There's a lot of artists, you'll see amazing, these huge songs, and, they don't translate live. But what I want to do is make sure when I do these shows that people are seeing, like, wow, that guy can really sing. So we did those, and then coming up into the new year, I think I'm probably going to be doing like a showcase here in Toronto.
Okay.
Toronto's been really buzzing right now, so I'm probably going to do like a showcase, a private showcase out here for industry and other artists and stuff, just to showcase the music, and then probably try to push that all across the states. Mostly probably New York and LA to start again, because those are kind of, I guess, the main hubs. And then hopefully tag on to a tour so that I can, show the rest of the country, the music.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely got to do that. That way people, hear, more of your great music, and they're just, aware of who you are if they're not already.
Yeah. It's a grind, right? So, you just gotta keep working at it. And if it doesn't work on this one, I got way more music to come. So, but I think this album, as soon as people start to really hear the music and just kind of get involved in who I am and absorb that vibe, I think people will start to really see, like, it'll start to really make an impact.
Exactly. Well, August, thanks so much for this interview. We definitely appreciate chatting with you about your music, your songwriting placements, and everything. Definitely was a great chat.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it, man.
No problem. So let people know where they can follow you as far as your social media is concerned.
Yes. Facebook, it's facebook.com/August Rigo. I think it's August Rigo Music, actually. And then on Twitter, it's just at August Rigo, AUGUSTRIGO. Instagram is Augamatic, AUGAMATIC. And then YouTube is the same, youtube.com/August Rigo.